You end their suffering by waking up. When you wake up, everyone wakes up. Kapow, kapow, kapow. We back with another reflection on the daily Vedantic. What is this philosophy? I have said this before on this podcast, but it's so powerful, and repetition is power that it's worth repeating again. What does this philosophy say about helping others? This philosophy is clear and it's outlined in the Gita, but the colloquial articulation of it is the most important work we do for others is the work we do on ourselves. A friend of mine wrote me a text this morning, and he's also a listener to the podcast and a member of Venice Vedantic Club here in LA. And he sent me a note and he said, one of my good buddies just lost his daughter 2 weeks ago. And his young daughter, and his entire life has been flipped upside down. The friend that wrote this to me, he said, my buddy has seen the changes that have been happening within me since I started to study this philosophy. He wants to know the on-ramp, a way to tap into the changes that have happened within me, but I also want to know, what can I do for him right now? I told my friend that it's heartbreaking to hear something like that. Best way that he can help is to be as clear-minded as he possibly can be. Knowing where his friend is, meeting them where they are, as they say these days. Understanding a sequence of what can be done 2 weeks after the loss of a young child. You can't go around saying, dude, get over it. You got to be self-sufficient. You're not helping anyone by wallowing. You could misuse, and that's what humanity is so good at, misuse any of the tenets of any philosophy. And it becomes the wrong philosophy. As the Buddhists say, the right tool used in the wrong way becomes the wrong tool. So first and foremost, what is most important in an acute scenario where someone needs help is for you to have clarity. Clarity on what the situation is, where they are, what you can do to help. That clarity starts 7 years before you get that news on a Tuesday afternoon. 10 years, 7 weeks, 10 months. It starts way before that game 7 of the finals moment where you need to have a whole lot of clarity. You don't just start shooting free throws 5 seconds before you got 2 free throws in the last 10 seconds of game 7 of the NBA finals. You start that 20 years before. And what does this philosophy say about helping others? Well, there are 5 ways to help others. And it's in this order, and I mentioned this in episodes past, but it's so contrary to what we're told by the world we live in that we need to hear it 100 times, 1,000 times before it starts to break the mold that we all have in our heads. The 5th and least helpful way in which we can help others is financially. You give to a GoFundMe. Someone lost their child. It's helpful, but it's the least helpful. The 4th, second least helpful way is your physical presence. You go to the memorial, go over to the house. That's helpful. They won't feel as alone, but it's not that helpful. Maybe say the wrong thing. Do the wrong thing. You got a chance to leave them even worse than when you found them. The 3rd way that we can help others, better than giving money, better than giving physical presence, is the emotional presence. Emotionally being with them. Emotionally being able to see where they are and knowing what to say with the clarity of knowing where they are emotionally. Maybe you've been through something similar and there's a right thing to say based on your experience and there's a wrong thing to say based on your experience, but rooted in a similar emotional state or rooted from experience of a similar emotional state. You being able to put yourself in their shoes will help immeasurably for you to know what to do, what to say, and do it in the right way. Another way in which we can help others, and this is the second best way, is with words of wisdom. You know how to guide them with the right words or perspective that can help them. That is more helpful than being with them emotionally. It's more helpful than being with them physically. It's more helpful than just tossing in some money into a fundraiser. But the most helpful thing that we can do for others, the most important work we do for others, is the work we do on ourselves. The cultivation of wisdom within ourselves. Because that helps everything. Let's say someone needs help with their plumbing. You're a plumber, but you got a blindfold on. You know the technicalities. You have the tools, but you can't see clearly what to do, when to do it. You know the how, but you can't really see what you're doing, what needs to be done next. And the work we do on ourselves is, put simply, it's cultivating clarity. Philosophy is, at its core, it's just clarity. Wisdom is, as we say often, is the capacity to see the end in the beginning. And bringing it back to, what can we do for others? Well, it starts 20 years before they ask for help. 10 years, 10 months, yesterday. The help that they're going to ask for tomorrow. The help that they're going to really need from you. The most help that you can do for them starts today with the work that you do on yourself. If you want to get really trippy, this philosophy says, and listen to episode 1. If this is your first episode, listen to episode 1 before this will make, you'll need to, before this will make any sense. But the really trippy aspect of this entire experience is, like the dream, when you wake up, everyone wakes up. In the dream experience, maybe you have a family member in the dream, a good friend, a spouse, and they're suffering. How can you end their suffering? Well, the easiest way to do it, it's not through giving them dream money. It's not through sitting with them. It's not through emotionally seeing what they're struggling with. It's not through words of wisdom. It's not through your own wise perspective. It's profoundly and mind-bendingly simpler than all of that. You end their suffering by waking up. That is today's reflection on the Daily Vedantic. We'll see you next time.